And welcome everyone to another edition of Katz Chats here for the Missouri Valley Conference. I'm Andy Katz, pleased to be joined by Roger Powell, head coach of Valparaiso, the Beacons, a newer nickname for Valparaiso. All right, let's deal with the positive. Yeah, you lost three in a row, but you started out with three straight wins against the likes of Indiana State, Northern Iowa, high-level Valley teams. Valparaiso had not sort of climbed that mountain yet. You've already kind of knocked off those. So let's first deal with what went right in those three before we sort of need to see what needs to be tweaked after these last three.
Man, we just competed. All these games, even the games we've lost, we've had leads late in the game. So, that's the Valley. All these games are tough, they're competitive, and we're finally at the place, I believe, where we're competitive in this league. Now we got to get back to our winning ways and flip some of these games that we've lost late.
Knocking off Northern Iowa and Indiana State, just specifically, what did that do for the confidence of this group? I know maybe it didn't translate, for some W's the last week and a half or so, but what did that do to say, okay, these are teams that are consistently Indiana State the last, 2 years been near the top. Northern Iowa's obviously had great run with Ben Jacobson. What did that tell your group?
I think it gave us some confidence, but I feel like this group is pretty confident. This group is hungry too. And that's something that you're seeing with how we're competing. And to be honest, the games that we lost to Murray State and Belmont on the road, two great programs, and they were all good games, really close games. So, I think this team is understanding that we can compete. But we gotta clean up some of these small things late, man, that is not allowing us to keep some of these leads that we're able to fight back and get.
We've already seen, I mean, Drake had a great start, stumbled a little out of the block in the Valley. Bradley now is playing well. How much, when you look at the Valley, is it a bit of a revolving door where the opportunities are there and there isn't really a great separation, from 1 to 6 or 7?
Well, we finally got our program to a place. I think this is not where we're going, but we are competitive, and we are a team now that every team that comes and plays us or we play on the road, for the most part, they're like, "Hey, man, this team is for real." But that's the Valley. I mean, the Valley has always been competitive. There's always been great coaches. There's always been great players, and it's been. I mean, it's one of the oldest conferences in college basketball, and I mean, you go all the way back to like Larry Bird. I mean, it's some historic programs in this league, and that's the beauty of being a part of a conference like this.
All right, so you're on the road recruiting here. In the middle of the freezing, frigid temperatures, in the middle of the season, which tells me this roster management, this constant, trying to fill the gaps, never stops. I mean, where are you right now in maintaining in this era of NIL portal, of making sure you're staying on top of who's going, who's coming, who could be coming, in this constant 24/7 world we're living in?
I think first and foremost is loving your players well. We were blessed and fortunate to be able to keep, me and Cooper Schwigger last year, and we recruited a really good dynamic player in All Right, who I think he can compete for freshman of the year. So we should have back-to-back freshman year in the Valley. So that shows that I think we're doing a good job in recruiting, especially some of the young talent, and then also some of the transfers, man, that we're trying to get, man. It's a consistent fight to try to bring in some quality transfers to help us kind of keep some experience and fill some gaps. So, I think first and foremost is recruiting your own players, which I think we're doing a good job of, and then finding a couple of players that can come in and help you take your program to the next level. And I think that's kind of what our focus is now, because we're right there, we're knocking on the door, but we got to fill a couple gaps for next season, and you got to do it. You got to do it. You have to recruit. You have to coach. You have to fundraise. You have to do so many things now, and it's not a boring job at all.
You've been a player at the highest level. You've coached at high levels, and you know that now in this new era of whether it's going to be a rev share, whether it's NIL, like that part of your job, how have you adapted to that?
I've adapted pretty good to it. You have to adapt, and if you don't, you're not going to survive. So I loved it. I love the challenge. That's part of the reason I came to Valpo, because it was a challenge to try to make Valpo relevant and try to compete in the Valley. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. So, all these changes for me has been something that, I've embraced. And I think the biggest thing now in this day and age, you have to have great relationships with your players. And, Yeah, your program really has to be a transformational or not transactional program, and that's something that I'm good at. That's part of our DNA, and it's going to help us.
Hey, I got to ask you, if we knew, like, if the rules today were there in '05, how do you think that group would have been taken care of?
Oh
Illinois
man,
'05.
I would have started some early retirement, man. I probably would have made some money back then, man. So I'm not hating on these kids now. I think, but I think it needs to be balanced, and I think, like the way we're doing it, like we're our NIL and just how we're handling it, we're really doing some really cool things in the community, and I'm really teaching my guys what you do with your name, image, and likeness is you give back, and you love people, um, and that's a great opportunity for me, but. Yeah, I mean, when I was at Illinois, back then, especially the way we were winning, yeah, I would have. I don't know if I would have started my retirement early, but now knowing what I knew now, I probably would have got a head start on it.
All right, Roger, I appreciate it. Confident your group's going to be in the thick of this race down the stretch. Somehow try to stay warm. It's hard for all of us. Appreciate your time.
Hey, thank you. Good to see you again, Andy.
You too.